Hi there, I've been making some videos for a while now and realized I never really introduced myself or said what this channel would be about. So I thought I would do that now. My name is Jefferson and I made this channel to post videos about history, religion, mythology, and my own philosophical thoughts. Each of those topics can stand alone, but they are also intertwined with each other. I've been interested in these topics since I was a kid, and my knowledge and perspectives on them have grown over time. I'm interested in all periods of history, but I'm particularly interested in ancient history and historical mysteries like lost civilization and how megalithic structures were built. I come from a Christian background, which is my biggest influence on the religion side of things, but I'm also interested in learning about other religions and ancient mythology. At its core, I'd say this channel has primarily been a history channel with some religion and mythology mixed in, and sometimes religion or mythology might be the main topic of a video instead of history. I'm also interested in paranormal and supernatural topics, so occasionally I sprinkle in a little of that as well. I don't necessarily want to limit myself to any of these topics alone, so at some point I might expand out to other topics if I feel compelled to do so. But if you're new here, or if you've watched any of my videos before and weren't sure what the theme or focus of this channel is, hopefully what I've said clears that up. As for the name Archaeonauts, I came up with that because naut refers to sailor or traveler, and I added the word archaeo to it because it means ancient and I knew I'd be making history videos. In my earlier videos, the intro says Pharos of the Archaeonauts, with Pharos meaning lighthouse. My intended meaning for that was bringing light to the topics I was covering, so to speak, and it was also a nautical image. I thought that was kind of a long name though, so recently I've shortened my intro title screen to just say Archaeonauts with a lighthouse in the background instead. Now I'm probably going to edit everything I just said into a separate intro video for my channel as a whole, but when coming up for the idea for this video here, it occurred to me maybe I need to clarify what kind of stuff I talk about here, because this channel is still pretty new at the time of this recording, and I'm not entirely sure if the audience following me is primarily here for the history or the religion or both. I talk about both things, and sometimes I talk about both things at the same time. But sometimes I talk about them separately. In this case, this video is just on the religion side of things. This time I'm giving my own philosophy on why I think God doesn't just make himself visibly present to us to prove his existence. It's not a question any particular person has asked me specifically, but it's one of those questions I've seen other people ask others before. So I thought I would give my own thoughts on it. I know this was kind of a long intro, but without any further ado, let's go to the topic of this video now. The earth was not intended as a prison, but after sin crept in, it became a bit like one. The earth was intended as a home for humanity, but when people began to sin against other people, people wanted to get away from those who meant harm to them. But you can only get so far away. We're created from the dust of the earth, and our human form is uniquely designed to live on this planet. Sure, you can put on a spacesuit and go to space for a little while, but no one has gone further than the moon, and I'm skeptical that a human settlement on another planet like Mars could last for a long time. There are just too many factors to consider. It's not just that Mars is too cold and it doesn't have enough oxygen. You can bring some heat and oxygen along with you, but for anything long-term to last, you need a settlement that can produce all of that on its own. The heat would need a renewable fuel source, and you'd need something that can continually produce oxygen in just the right amounts. Because it's important that the oxygen in the atmosphere is in just the right range in comparison to other natural gases. It's not just a lack of oxygen that is a problem. Having too much oxygen can also be a problem. Terraforming Mars to try to get the oxygen balance in the air from a natural means just right would be a difficult task. Then there's also the factor of not getting as much sunlight as the human body is used to, and the fact that the days and years don't last the same amount of time on other planets. I think this would throw a human's biological clock all out of whack. A Martian day is similar to an Earth day in length, so that might not be a big deal in this example, but the years on Mars last longer, so there may be some seasonal disruption to the human biological clock there, but I digress. My point is, we were designed to live on Earth, whether you're happy with current living conditions or not. Originally, God intended the earth to be a place for humanity to have dominion and an always comfortable lifestyle, but the corruption of sin ruined that. People became cut off from God because of the corruption of sin. Sin is a rebellion against God, so it cannot be in the presence of God. Kind of like oil and water. They just don't mix. God is not gone, but because his glory is so mighty, if he shows his true form, it would kill everyone. Much like how the sun would vaporize anyone who gets too close to it. God has other ways of showing himself, though, sometimes by guiding a chain of events or through a miracle. God so loved the world, though, that he came in a human form to make a path for all humans to come back to him if they so desired. God knew his true form would wipe away everything with sin in it, so he knew he would have to come in another form to show himself. The ancient Hebrew people looked forward to the time God would appear in human form and performed rituals that represented what the future Messiah would do. Christians look back in time when the Messiah first came and perform rituals based on what he did. God took on a human form so humans could see him face to face and to show the path humans can take to get back to God. Ultimately, it's up to each individual if they want to take the path back to God, or if they would rather follow their own way down a path away from God. I don't know that hell is a place people are condemned to go to insomuch as it's a place where corrupt, selfish people choose to go. It's often depicted as a place of fire, and maybe it is, but I think that description stems from comparing it to Gehenna, which is also known as the Valley of Hinnom, which the ancients knew as the place of burning. Some people living later in history thought it was a garbage dump that was continually kept burning, but that's not actually what it was. It was a place where ancient heathens conducted human sacrifices, including child sacrifice by fire. Because of this, the Hebrew people viewed it as a wicked place, and I can't blame them. There's nothing really more despicable than child sacrifice. Anyway, this might be why hell became associated with fire. But I don't know that it's fire that torments people in hell. The torment that awaits them is living in a place full of other corrupt, selfish people, all out to satisfy themselves with no love for others. Is that not bad enough? The path to God is a place where love is. The question is, which place do you want to go to? The place where everyone is out for themselves, or the place where everyone loves and is loved? Here, on earth, it's kind of a mixed bag. Humans were created to do good, but they're also capable of doing bad. Some people do good, some people do bad. Everyone has it in them to do both, good or bad. People can be affected by what other people do, sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a bad way. Conversely, other people can be affected by what you do, good or bad. The path humans walked is diverged into many different paths, but ultimately, all the paths come to the same fork in the road. Ultimately, it's up to you which path you want to follow. God opened up the path to him and wants everyone to come to him, but he doesn't force anyone to do it. Anyone choosing the other path will end up living with all the others who chose the other path. You can call it condemnation if you want, but I think condemnation is too strong of a word to use for that. Is a person really being condemned by God if it was they themselves who chose to go down a path away from God? If anything, it seems like they are condemning themselves to me. How is God condemning anyone when he is the one who opened up the path back to him? It's up to you if you want to choose to take that path back to him. I think if you were going to sum up the whole point of the Bible, it would be to say that God said, y'all messed up, go stand in the corner and think about what you've done. But when you're ready, you're welcome to come back. And I think if you had to sum up the whole Bible into only one passage, it would be the passage in John chapter 3. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have eternal life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but in order that the world might be saved through him. And ultimately, when you have the choice, choose to do good. Those are my thoughts on that. Thanks for listening.